Hello again, and welcome back to the third video in this series of training videos for the Media Ninja Designer software. In the last video, we created a simple two-screen menu and had not yet added any objects to the menu. In this video, I want to cover some of the object properties, in particular, what we call our universal object properties. That is, properties that every single type of object have in common. So if I'm selecting screen 1, I choose to insert an image. In our object properties, we see that we have a lot more options as opposed to just the regular screen 1. In the object properties panel, everything below this line is what's categorized as universal properties, or properties that every item shares. For example, every item has a rotate. It should be noted that I'm working in developer mode in my layout editor mode, so I have access to all the features. Every item has a width, a height, a depth, opacity, a shadow function or drop shadow function, an X and Y coordinate, and a move up, down, left, or right. We're going to cover each one of these things, and I should also note that this is for build 1.44, and in the very next patch we're going to have controls for rounded corners and border controls. So the first thing that we're going to do is change the item. And to move this item, it's a drag and drop function. So you just click when you have the crosshairs and you can drag this to any position, and you can also grab corners to resize, or grab a side and just resize the side. In the object properties, if we have the object selected, we can choose the foreground or the background and the type of stretch mode. We can also choose to not have an image at all and just run off a background. So we can create a solid color, a gradient, just with the picture box. We'll go into that later. But for right now, I'm just going to choose an image here. So there, I chose a muffin sandwich. It should also be noted that we're using transparent PNGs for these images. Those tend to work best for almost any scenario, but we can use any type of image that you wish. So we can use a JPEG, a GIF, whatever you have, we can use it here. But transparent PNGs really make the menu system work great. There's a few resources online to where you can take white or black or solid color background JPEGs and convert them into a transparent PNG. It's all free online. It's a really easy process. You upload your image, you hit go, and it gives you a transparent PNG back that you can use in your menu. But for right now, I'm just going to use this image to kind of demonstrate some of the universal properties that we have with our images. We can rotate the image, and we can also center it back to make it level. The up, down, left, or right is 1 pixel incremental moves. Now these are really useful for when you're lining a bunch of objects up and you want them to be lined up perfectly on the pixel. So every click is going to move the pixel or 1 pixel over, as you can see on the X position. The X is just where the left side of this image is, and the Y is just where the top side of this image is. Those coordinates help you out when you're designing your menu and you want everything to line up. You can also type directly into the text boxes here to assign the X and Y. Same thing with the width and the height. 1 pixel increments, and you can see that I'm stretching this image to make it wider or taller. And you can type directly into these also. Now the depth is a little bit different. For this demo, I'm going to insert another object so we can see the actual how the depth works. I'm going to choose a different image. So now we have 2 images on top of each other. Now our stacking is how the depth works. This has the foreground while this image is sitting in the background. However, if we want this sandwich to be in front of this sandwich, or any other picture for that matter, we just select move closer to front. And now you can see that this has the foreground and the biscuit that I just added has the background. Our menus can have many different layers on it. So to make things simpler, we have a bring to front and ascend to back as well. So if you're trying to raise up over 10 or 15 layers, instead of clicking that 10 or 15 times, you would just raise the front. We also have our opacity. Now the opacity is simply a transparency function. You can really build some unique looks with your menus, and we'll go into that as we're designing it. But for now, this is simply a transparency function. And you can make things semi-transparent, and you can type directly into the box if you have an exact number that you're wanting to go. It's all based on our percentage. And then we also have our drop shadow. Now, it's not extremely apparent here because of the background, the size, the shape, but every object has a drop shadow. This really, in particular, works well with text, but it does work with all images. So you can see that there's a shadow around the edge, around the lower edge of this sandwich when I hit drop shadow to yes. A couple other things to note is when you're adding an object, whatever object that may be, make sure that either the screen or an object on that screen is selected. When you hit insert, it's automatically going to insert an object based on what is selected on the Object Explorer. So if I have screen 1 selected, it's going to go to screen 1. If I have screen 2 selected, it's going to go to screen 2, as you see there. I can also select an object on the screen and get the same effect. Alright, so that's basically covering all of the universal properties as of build 1.44. Again, the only exception is our border controls and rounding of corners on all of our objects. That's going to be in the next patch. The next video, I want to do something about starting to inserting objects to the menu, and we have a few different objects, and we're going to cover all of those. But once we have the universal properties out of the way, then we're only going to focus on the object-specific properties. All right, we will see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.